Hello, I'm Dr. Mejia, your principal. Welcome to the instruction module of the reopening plan. In this session, you will receive an overview of the master schedule, receive an explanation of the schedule components, learn the instructional expectations, and participate in a Q&A session. In the next section, Ms. Gorsuch will walk you through the remote master schedule and the details of its components.
Students will do work both on Zoom and independently at home. The content that will have designated times on Zoom are the following: ELA/SLA, Math, Science and Social Studies, Small Group, Bilingual Group Work, Special Education Services, and Intervention. The content that will be delivered independently via Seesaw are activities and instructional videos for core content, ELA/SLA, Math, Science, and Social Studies, as well as PE and music. And PE will be on Monday and Wednesday, and music on Tuesday and Thursday for 45 minutes a day. Second step on Mondays, counselor on Wednesdays, and library media on Fridays for 30 minutes a day, as well as lunch and recess, which will be 45 minutes a day, with the exception of pre-K, which will have 70 minutes a day of combined recess and lunch. So on this page, we're going to show the schedules for each grade level, and this is only for the Zoom times where students are online. So each of the schedules follows a similar pattern, and we're going to talk about what each of these components entail. So for example, you'll start with either ELA or SLA, as students only take language in their native language for pre-K through first. So during this first ELA/SLA block, and also later with the Math or Science and Social Studies, these time frames are whole group teaching, which are 10 minutes for reviewing learning intentions, success criteria, giving a brief review of the lesson that the students would have viewed before class. So for example, you could show a small part of the video, review an example, reteach something, talk about the warm-up, etc. Then the other part of that first block is where students will interact with the learning, and it's a whole class activity. So for example, you might do a Pear Deck activity slide, a Kahoot, a Quizlet, a shared docs or slide activity, answer questions, have students complete polls, do a discussion, scavenger hunts, or whiteboard practice. Then, following each ELA or SLA block for pre-K through 5th grade will be a small group language support time, which is a new idea that we haven't done in the past. So this portion of time, like I said, follows the whole class ELA/SLA block. Teachers will schedule groups so that all students are placed in a group by their level. For pre-K through first, they'll already be in their first language and will only have one group. But in 2nd through 5th, students will have a small group language support for both their English teacher and Spanish teacher once a week. This time is intended for teachers to work in small groups of students on language skills in the language of instruction. So it could be time to support students who are high with enrichment, to do reteaching of skills for medium or low students, or to explicitly teach language skills, for example, like to teach writing or support students with vocabulary in their second or first language. On this next slide, we'll talk about bilingual groups and conceptual refinement. So, bilingual groups. And let's first look at, for example, 2nd grade schedule. They'll start with their block of ELA/SLA, then do small group language, which is the same as first or pre-K through first. But when we get down here into Math or Social Studies, you'll see that you have 20 minutes of whole group instruction, and then 15 of bilingual group, then 10 of CR, conceptual refinement. Then the students will switch and go into their non-homeroom teachers to do the opposite language, and then have bilingual groups or CR. That's the same for 3rd through 5th. So bilingual groups will take place after each Math and Science or Social Studies block. They should be heterogeneous, so the semi-traditional Gomez groups where you have one high student, one high medium student, one medium low student, and one low student. Teachers will see each group one time per week, so ideally you'll divide your class into 5 different groups to have one per day. During this time, teachers should plan one bilingual pair activity for the group that is at a higher depth of knowledge and encourages students to interact. Teachers should strive to only supervise at this time, as it's meant for students to productively struggle with the language and to be able to interact. Students that are struggling during this time can remain on Zoom for conceptual refinement afterwards. So, conceptual refinement is this idea of just-in-time intervention. When teachers see students that are struggling during the bilingual group time or on assignments that they've done independently, then they can ask students to stay on the Zoom link to be able to support them. Only the students who just had the bilingual group will remain. And the idea is that not all of those students will need the extra support. So say in this bilingual group, I have Sally, Joey, Sarah, and Hasiel. And just Sarah needs help, and Hasiel did an enrichment project. You might ask both of them to stay behind, work with Sarah on reteaching some skills, and maybe have Hasiel share with you what he was working on for his enrichment activity. Then students will jump on the other link or go on to do their independent work. So in the primary grades, bilingual group work and conceptual refinement is combined to last 15 minutes altogether. So they might schedule do a bilingual group activity for the first 8 minutes and then use the remaining 7 for conceptual refinement, but it's kind of fluid and flexible. All right, so these the times that aren't on Zoom are independent work times or also pull-out minutes. So here's what our master schedule looks like, and it has the student schedule and teacher schedule. So you can see these gray blocks of time. They are for independent work time and occasionally for pull-out minutes for special education. But if a student is not in special education, that is independent work time. So in these blocks of time, we've designated as guidelines what the activities are that students should be working on to help build the student schedule for families. But we've also included planned times and PLC times, which will be on Wednesdays on the teacher schedule. So if you can't really see it, check it out. It's on, you guessed it, the Hub.
But wait, there's more. SPED. Pull-out services will take place outside of the general education teacher's Zoom time during the pull-out services block. Students will receive specialized instruction with special education staff during this time. Inclusion minutes. SPED staff will join whole group instruction as well as work with students to review the activities during bilingual group time and conceptual refinement each day. Intervention. Intervention will be scheduled for students during the students' off days during bilingual groups or CR, conceptual refinement, and small group language support. PLC and plan time. PLCs will be on Wednesdays, and look at the teacher's schedule to see daily plan times. Instruction expectations. Zoom links. Each teacher will need to create a Zoom link for their class with a password that is scheduled from 8 to 4 every day and keep it open. For safety reasons, Zoom links and passwords will not be posted on teacher websites, but will be shared through Seesaw or via email with parents. Please post your classroom Zoom links on Zoom Links document on the Hub homepage. For content delivery, all assignments should be pushed out on Seesaw. Seesaw assignments need to follow the same nomenclature or name, like this: date, class, activity name, so they are easy to find. Teacher websites should provide information to parents so that they know how to contact you and where student work is posted. Please link your partner teacher's website to yours. The district has provided excellent instructional resources. Fantastic. That include videos and activities. The expectation is that teachers utilize these resources in a way that support our dual language model. A little birdie asked, do teachers need to start teaching content on day 1? Yes, but find a balance to make sure students feel welcome, navigate tech issues, but get to business and provide a sense of normalcy and school right from the get-go. Some things change, others stay the same. Lesson planning. Partners must collaborate on lesson planning and grading and should be on the same lesson or very close. Slight variances in activities are okay. However, for consistency, equity, and the uncertain phase situation, teachers must plan closely together. Grading. Teachers will enter at least 1 grade per subject per week in Tyler Sys. This is not new. As with lesson planning, slight variances in activities are okay. However, for consistency, equity, and the uncertain phase situation, Teachers need to plan closely together and utilize common formative and summative assessments to determine what grades will be entered in Tyler SIS. Attendance. Classroom teachers will take daily attendance on Tyler SIS. More information to come on this. Student and parent language support. To support students with language acquisition, teachers must ensure that their virtual classroom environment in their websites are robust and used frequently to assist parents, who now are the students' learning coaches, in understanding what the students are being asked to do in their independent activity time. In addition, teachers support parents in this effort by providing translation tools. The Scott instructional platforms are Seesaw, which is where we deliver content and communicate with parents. Teacher websites, which are on Google Sites, are a parent information reference point. Clever, a single sign-on portal to access resources, will be fantastic for you to use this year. And Zoom, well, don't we all know and love Zoom? We also recommend other things like Pear Deck, Flipgrid, sorry, it's a tongue twister, and others to engage students in other lessons. And what you have been waiting for, time for Q&A. See you on the other side.